So my name is Laura Lewis. I'm one of the associate directors at First Point USA, specifically in charge of Olympic sports, and that includes all of our swimming and diving. So we're joined by Dave Rollins tonight from Florida Gulf Coast University, and he's just going to take us through tonight a little bit of his own career, his development as a swimmer, and how he came into coaching and how he's led some of those programs that he's worked with, including so Northern Arizona, I think you were there, Dave, into Ohio State, and now at Florida Gulf Coast. So first of all, just kick us off. Just tell us a little about your own background and career as a junior swimmer, and how you came to be recruited yourself.
Oh, hold on, Laura, cut out for a second. I know it's the first question, but it immediately froze as soon as you asked the question.
All right, hopefully we'll be good from here. Maybe because someone sent me a message in the background there as well. But yeah, your own career as a junior swimmer, just how did you come to be recruited yourself at Arizona, and how what was your background kind of coming into that recruitment?
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town in Vermont, which is in New England. We had one high school, like very small. We swam in a 6-lane, 25-yard pool, so even smaller than most facilities over across the way. And our coach told my family. So I had an older sister who was also swimming. She was a national level swimmer on the YMCA kind of circuit, so it's slightly different than USA swimming. But she told her, she's like, listen, you guys got to leave. If you guys want to do anything with your kids, you got to find somewhere else to go. And I had family that lived in Arizona, so my mom was like, all right, well, we're gonna move across the country. It took us like 2 weeks to pack up everything and uproot our entire family, and we moved out to Tucson when I was 7th grade, so going into 8th grade. And so I was 14 years old, and my first experience with long course training and long course swimming. It was very beneficial that we were trained at the University of Arizona. So that was kind of my first experience with like a major university and a major club program. But just, thankful for the coaches I had that helped me continue to improve and get faster. And when came into college, and you're not into college, but into high school, and then into the recruiting started to become a thing. I had coaches that were very experienced in helping athletes and helping athletes navigate the process, which is significantly different now than it was back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But I was very fortunate to have a great group of people around me to help. I got improved a lot when I was in high school, so I started to get contacted by a lot of major universities, and I had a lot of opportunities to take official visits to places. I took a visit to Texas and Wisconsin at the time, and Arizona. Those were my only 3 official visits, and ultimately decided that Arizona was going to be one of the best fit for me as an athlete, but also for my family. So I mentioned that we moved across the country as the least I could do to stay a little bit closer to home, to be able to have my family be able to come out to meets and see me compete, and just knowing that they uprooted their entire lives for us, and I didn't want them to have to spend their entire vacation traveling around more to see more swim meets. So that's ultimately what kind of helped me come to the decision of where I ended up at Arizona.
Okay, and when you were there, like you went on to become a national champion. What was it about that program or the coaching there that you think really allowed you to thrive?
I think it was a building process. So when I first got there, my first year as a team, we finished I think 8th or 9th in the country, and the coaches, they were not like the main driving force behind the motivation we needed as athletes to want to continue to get better and grow. Like they provided us all the tools that we needed, but it was us as a team that we got together and we talked about it as a group. What do we truly want to accomplish? Our coaches never put anything in our head of, hey, we have to win this. Hey, we have to try and accomplish this. Hey, you got to swim this time. It was, they provided all the tools that we needed to help us, fully embrace the process to continue to get better. It was hard. It was challenging. We had a very strong women's program at the time too, and so seeing both programs excel at the same time was really fun. That's pretty rare to see when you have a combined program in the collegiate system with men and women training together, that both programs are, one of the, top, if not winning, top 2, 3, 4 program. So we had a lot of high achieving athletes. We had a lot of very successful athletes, a lot of Olympians, a lot of national champions. And so it was the environment that you were around. Like, you want to continue to help out those people around you, and they want to help you out. And it was just, I think, a combination of everything all at once. It truly kind of helped, that development. And, in my time, we didn't win as a team, but we got second. And then a couple years later, we won as a team. So, I take a lot of pride in knowing that maybe I played a small role in helping those guys and girls get better as they went through too.
And you set a national record, I think, when you were there. What year was that?
So our 200 medley relay set the U.S. Open NCAA record in 2006, so my senior year. Fun part about that relay is we broke a relay set by the University of Texas, but it had Aaron Pearsall, Brendan Hansen, Ian Crocker. I think Garrett Weber-Gale was the freestyler when they set the record. I might be mistaken. But so for us, a group of 4 dudes that hadn't really accomplished a whole lot, to break a record that was held by 4 Olympic gold medalists was quite the accomplishment for us. We were excited.
Yeah, huge achievement. You mentioned that you were surrounded by, a few Olympians in that program. There were, I think, 180, like alum or former collegiate athletes or current collegiate athletes at the Paris Olympics. How much do you think that a swimmer can thrive in that environment and use it as a platform to push on to the Olympics? Like, should they be going pro at 18 or 19, or can they accelerate through, collegiate swimming to the Olympics?
Well, everybody's a little bit different, right? So, some athletes, like Michael Phelps can be, turn pro and be very successful and have his career just completely take off. I think those are more the few and far betweens, in my opinion. I think that what the collegiate system offers is more than just like a training environment, right? You're surrounded by, for us, we have a women's only team, but you're surrounded by 20 to 25 peers, right? You have a group of same age, same mindset, same levels where you're continuing to go through, and you're all experiencing these things together. It can be challenging when you transition into more of a professional realm where it's now on you to produce, and everything you do is for you. Where in the kind of the collegiate system, it's about how can you continue to improve to help the team continue to improve. Like, how are you helping your teammates? How are they helping you? How are we helping the program become the best that it can be and represent your university at the highest possible level? So, I mean, everybody's a little bit different. I don't think that one's significantly better than the other. Obviously, people are going to find success in what they truly believe in doing the most. We have the U.S. Olympic team. Are coming from the collegiate background. So, there's a handful that over the years have not gone through the system, but the vast majority of our Olympic team has gone through the collegiate system and obviously had very good success.
Yeah. So you were kind of at the peak of your own personal success when you went into coaching. So first role, Northern Arizona. How did that come about, and what helped you make that decision at the time?
I originally wanted to be a sports agent when I went to college. So I knew I wanted to be involved with athletics. I knew I wanted to help student athletes. I knew I wanted to help athletes, not necessarily student athletes. They would have been professional athletes when I was working with them. But knowing that I wanted to help athletes and work with athletes. Once I started taking law classes, I quickly realized that was not the route for me. And that was going to be not that it was going to be too much work. It wasn't work that I was truly passionate about. And so, I listened a lot during our swim practices. We did a lot of what we call peer coaching, where the coaches will say, all right, you 5 go over in this lane, and you're going to work on your starts. You're going to work on turns, and actually, watch each other and help each other out and communicate with each other, because you all have something of value to add to one another. And that got me kind of curious about the coaching side of our sport a little bit more. Then listening how different coaches that we had on the pool deck interact with different athletes, things that they might have been telling them, or why are you telling, let's say, why are you telling Adam, this about his race? How could that potentially apply to me and to my race and into my training? And so I started working swim camps, and we had swim camps at University of Arizona. So I worked those, and I got to meet, a few coaches along the way. And Andy Johns, who's the head coach still at Northern Arizona, was working camp with us one summer. And he called me up in the fall and was like, hey, really enjoyed working with you at camp. I got an opening. Do you think you want to, come and interview to be our assistant coach? And I was like, sure. Great. That sounds fantastic. I was kind of on the tail end. I was, working my way kind of out of swimming. I still kind of swam around and competed a little bit, but, it wasn't really the main driving force for me getting out of bed every day. And, I really enjoyed the opportunity that Andy provided, and obviously haven't looked back since.
So from there to Ohio State, I think, and now Florida Gulf Coast. So all in Division I.
Yeah. So we, Northern Arizona, just like FGCU, is a mid-major program, more middle-sized universities. Some are a little bit bigger than others, but working at Northern Arizona and having a women's only program to then going to Ohio State. I was in Cincinnati for 2 years working with club and high school athletes. That's where my wife's family is all from there. But then given the opportunity at Ohio State and working primarily with the men's program, but the summers we did a lot of stuff combined with the women's program. And it's just seeing the massive difference between the Ohio States of the world, the large universities, compared to what we have here, like at FGCU or at Northern Arizona. I knew that big school was not my thing. It was not the speed. It's not that I couldn't handle the the pressure or the size or anything like that. It's just I felt like I connected better with the environment at more of a mid-major style school and connected better with the athletes at a more mid-major style school. And so the opportunity arrived at with FGCU, and we didn't know anybody in Fort Myers, Florida, and I'd never personally been to Fort Myers, Florida. I'd only been to Orlando and Fort Lauderdale. But my wife was like, hey, if we don't do it now, when are we going to take this chance or have another opportunity? So took advantage of it, and we've loved every minute ever since.
So tell us a little bit. I mean, it's a pretty well-known campus just in terms of being picturesque and the setting and everything. But tell us a little bit about what you have there for your program. So location, campus, what pools do you have? What staff do you have, and what can athletes benefit from?
Yeah, so we have. I like to say we have all the amenities of a big school without having a big school. So we have full access to academic tutors, priority scheduling. Anything they need from a school side of things, they're going to have access to, and we have the ability of helping them get those resources. The pool, we have an absolutely gorgeous 8-lane, 50-meter pool. We swim outdoors year-round. Not many people can say that they benefit from beautiful sunrises and being tan year-round. Even me with red hair, I do get a little tan. But we're surrounded by trees. Most 50-meter pools are either indoors or they're surrounded by buildings, and they don't have the best views. Right, we have beautiful sunrises every morning at practice. We have an amazing, recently renovated. It was renovated about 3 years ago now, weight room. So we have all the access we need to for Olympic lifts. We have the platforms. We have free weights. We have everything we need in terms of weightlifting. Our strength and conditioning coach is phenomenal, and he writes a fantastic program for our team. Right next to where all of our academic resources are located is our athletic training room. So have access to hot tubs, cold tubs, rehab exercises, our athletic trainers, the team doctors. We have a chiropractor. We have massage therapists. We got pretty much anything somebody needs. We have access to it, and we can find a way to help those people out with whatever it is that they need.
And when it comes to delivery of that program, then how would you describe your own coaching philosophy? How do you lead the program?
Well, I would say we look for athletes who are able to be great teammates. right? So you can have someone who's very fast, but if they're only focused on their own successes, then that doesn't benefit the group as a whole. Like, it can be great to have that person competing at a high level, but if they're coming in and it's all about them, it doesn't work very well. So we look for great people who are kind of, I would say, selfless to an extent, because I mean, as an athlete, in order to continue to improve, you got to be a little selfish, because you got to really focus on the things that you need to accomplish, but willing to be a phenomenal teammate, someone who's coachable, someone who's dedicated to their studies. We know that swimming is only going to last for so long, that they got to make sure they're staying on top of their schoolwork, so that they can go on and do incredible things once their swimming career does come to an end. But truly, like, I'm not a big yeller. If I'm yelling, something had to have gone really wrong. I'm very laid back. I like to have fun, and I like for them to have fun. Like, it's swimming, right? If you're having fun, if you're confident in what you're doing and you're happy, like, you're going to be very successful. We just want them to enjoy their experience. We want to perform at the best level that we can. So, knowing when to have fun, knowing when to, push a little bit harder, knowing when to back off a little bit is an important piece of the puzzle. But we play music on the pool deck. I write every once in a while little jokes or little questions, little quiz questions at the bottom of their practice, and they're usually some of the dumbest things. It's a stupid dad joke. I have a whole book of dad jokes that I pull questions from, just to loosen up the tension a little bit. Sometimes you can be in really heavy training, and the last thing they want to do is dive into the pool. But if you have them crack a smile or a joke, it's a little bit easier, and they tend to loosen up and have a little bit better practice.
Okay. You spoke a little bit about the attitude and kind of the mindset of the athlete. So in terms of your recruitment then, like, how far out do you start? Is it 12 months out? Is it 24 months out? Like, how far out might you start to talk to a swimmer? And, all in that attitude and mindset, what are you looking for? Is it multiple disciplines? Is it SAT score, grades? What's the full package look like?
Yes. What are you looking for? Yes, all of it. When do you start recruiting? Yes, as soon as we can, whenever we get a chance. But I mean, the truth is, we have certain rules as to when we can start recruiting. So June 15th, after their junior years, when we can kind of start the communication, when we can start having true conversations with them. Otherwise, it's mostly them sending us emails, keeping us updated on how they're doing. But not everybody is that soon. Some are that early, some aren't. In our sport in this day and age, you go through basically two different recruiting seasons. You have the class to recruit to be freshmen, and then you have the class that you're recruiting that are transferring into your program. So you might have someone who's either unhappy, or even with all the new changes coming down with the NCAA and roster limits and things, that they need to find a new home. That's something that we have to navigate as well. So the more communication we have with somebody, the more we get to talk to somebody, the better we're going to get to know them. But in a 10-minute conversation, everybody's fantastic. It's hard to truly get a sense of who people are in that short kind of time frame. So we rely on other people that might know them or might have interactions with them. But on an international recruiting stage, it can be even more challenging, because we don't always have the ability to bring somebody out on an official visit and meet them face to face and in person. So we have to kind of go by our gut a little bit, and from the conversations that we've had, and trust that we're making ultimately the right decision.
Okay. And fair to say, like, you might monitor someone for quite a while, so you could be talking to them for maybe over a year in some cases. Yeah. And what's the importance of transferring? There may be athletes on here, they may be young, they may be initially at Division II level. Do you feel like that transfer, it's a realistic opportunity for people to kind of make their progress and step into a Division I program as they mature?
I think it is. I don't encourage anybody to seek a transfer if they're, one, seeing progress, and two, they're happy where they are. Yeah. I think there's a lot of things that go into why somebody might be looking for a new situation or a new university. Maybe the coaching change. There might have been, they're not getting the attention that they should. Like we typically will see athletes come to our school. They went to bigger schools previously, so they might have been a member of the program, but they come to our school and now they're competing to win conference championships. They're setting some of our fastest times we've ever seen. So they might be more of the dubbed bigger fish, right, in a slightly smaller pond versus being just another member of a program. So there are lots of opportunities. There's a lot of reasons that people will seek a transfer. It could be family reasons. It could be academically related. There's 1,000 different reasons why somebody might be looking for a different program. But I've found that if you're happy where you are, you're being successful where you are, and you're continuing to improve, then they're obviously happening for a reason. Unless there's a real reason to make that change. I think that people should see out where they are and see how best they can do.
Okay, and especially for our UK audience, can you kind of explain what a coach-assisted admission is and how that's different from just applying to a school?
Sure. So most universities will have, we call them PSAs, so prospective student athletes. So they are flagged in our system as somebody who is being recruited by the university for athletics. And they are tracked through the system. They're tracked. And so we are aware of kind of what's going on, what they might be missing in terms of their application. Typically, something that's a coach assisted would be we're vying for, or we are, I would say we're campaigning on their behalf, right? So somebody, maybe they have a test score that might be a little low. So most often, international, especially from UK, they're not, English is their primary language. So they don't have to worry about a TOEFL exam or a Duolingo exam. But maybe their SAT or ACT is a few points shy of what the school truly is looking for, then we can petition on their behalf, being like, hey, well, their grades are this. This is what they're contributing to. They're going to contribute to the university on the athletic level. These are the resources we're going to help provide for them so they are successful here academically. And then those athletes will be tracked throughout their 4 years to make sure, one, that they graduate. Obviously, once they're here, we don't just forget about them. We got to make sure that we're following through on the things that we've said. And we have a phenomenal academic resource center, and we call it the HARC. But the staff there is amazing. They work with us very, very well, and we've been very successful on the academic side. But just making sure that we're providing the needed resources for those student athletes to be successful. So traditionally, you would see somebody who might not hits like a minimum threshold that the university is initially looking for. But if there's a way that we can help them and help navigate it, and with the resources that we have, show the university that this is somebody that is, one, going to be a great ambassador for the university, and two, we're going to help them be as successful as possible in the classroom, then we don't have, it doesn't happen all the time, but for the ones that we have utilized, then it's been very successful.
Okay, so a lot of athletes to potentially keep track of during that process, and then once they come to school, like in terms of roster size, what does your team look like, guys and girls, number of scholarships, and how has anything changed just recently with the changes in roster size?
Yes, so well, for us, we have only a women's program, and so our roster limit is going to be set at 30. The NCAA is coming in with their settlement. Once everything's finalized, it should be officially finalized in April, I believe. It's a little outside my world, but it's still part of my world that I should know some of it. We believe it's going to be finalized in April, so 30 will be our roster number. That means the NCAA has now allowed you to be a fully funded program. Scholarship-wise, means you can issue as many as 30 scholarships. So you could have programs out there, and you probably will have programs out there that are going to have 30 scholarships to offer their women's swimmers and divers. We have never operated in a full allotment of scholarships. Up until recently, we were the ruling, the limit was 14, and we were operating at 11 out of 14, so we were operating in deficit of 3. We're very fortunate that we have new administration that has come in, and they're going to allocate some resources to the different programs. So we will see an increase in that moving forward. Exact numbers, not 100% sure on it yet, but we will see an increase, which is incredible. And I think what they announced the other day was across all sports is an average of a 40% increase, which is a huge jump, especially for a smaller school like us, where some of the bigger schools might not be in the same boat. But we're very fortunate for that as we move forward too.
Okay, so I guess previously the answer to this next question, is probably no. But are there a lot of full scholarships around? Have there been a lot of full scholarships, or?
My philosophy is to never, and probably still moving forward, has not been to issue a 100% full allotted scholarship. So knowing that we can have as many as 30 athletes on the team, and knowing we won't have 30 scholarships, if we have the ability to bring somebody in that is going to receive, I would say, a significant scholarship, so something that's going to cover your tuition, it's going to cover, it could meals, or it could cover housing, books, it could be, international fees, whatever it might be. Knowing that we can still use some to help bring somebody else in, I think is how you build the best team that you can possibly build. If I had, we would have probably been able to be very good with 11 fully scholarshiped athletes, but how deep could we have been as a team? And when our objectives are to win a conference championship and perform on the national level, we got to have the most well-rounded program that we can possibly have. Is that going to change in the future? I don't know. I think we still need to have a very well-rounded program, and we need to have as many of the best athletes that we can put together on the same team. But no, I think we have yet to, that includes NCAA All-Americans and Olympians that have not received a 100% full scholarship, but they have received a large enough aid package that their families can make it work.
Great. Okay. So in terms of their contribution back to the team, then how does the swim season look? An athlete comes in, I guess, late August, they're there until maybe end of May. How's competition structured throughout that time?
Yeah, so we typically will have our first competition end of September, early October. So they're here for a little over a month. Getting in, doing our conditioning and getting into, especially first years, getting used to training, getting used to being in the weight room if they haven't lifted before, going through those processes the first few weeks. We have the weekend for us before Thanksgiving, so kind of towards the end of November. We'll have kind of like we call it a mid-season meet, but it's kind of like our first opportunity to see how they perform in a championship format. Then we're kind of back into training through the holidays, and then our conference championships are going to be in the middle of February. The NCAA national championships are in the middle of March. Then if they finish their classes through, we usually are done by the early May. So typically first years will go home for their first summer. Sometimes they want to stay, which is fine. We provide a great training opportunity, and we'll have competitions, and whatever meets we are qualified to compete in, we'll travel to and compete in, whether that's a USA Swimming national level meet or more local sized meets. We'll figure that part out over the summer. But in the past, I've left it more up to the athletes as to what works best for them. But I think the direction that our program is starting to go, more and more they'll be encouraged to stay, and we have housing, and they can take classes, and we can do a bunch of different things in the summer to help them out. I'd say it is a little bit harder with international students because they don't get to see their families as often as our domestic students typically do. So being a little more flexible and understanding with them, I think is an important piece of the puzzle too.
Okay, so breaking it down a little bit further into like a day and a week, what could a student athlete coming into a program like yours expect from their commitment levels?
Yeah, so the rules allow for up to 20 hours of training a week. So a lot of programs will be in the weight room for 3 hours a week. So they might break it down in 3 different days. We're no different in that aspect. And then they'll tend to see, up to 17 hours or so in the pool. That can be done, multiple days where you're having 2 practices a day, multiple days where you're only having 1 practice a day. I think everybody across the board pretty much trains on Saturday as well. The way we kind of break things down is we have 3 days in the weight room, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Then we have 3 days where we're doing land-based work for about 30 to 45 minutes. So like a dry land circuit before we get in Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So 6 days of every day that we're training, every day that we're in the water, we're also doing something on land, which takes away a little bit from our in-water time, but it is something that we feel has, one, this year worked very, very well and has been very beneficial for our student athletes. But 2, helps keep them fresher once they're in the water, right? I think, as any swimmer can tell you, it can get a little boring staring at the black line for hours on ends. And if we're able to minimize that boredom just a little bit, it can benefit them a lot. But, a typical college day and week for somebody, you're going to have classes after morning practice. You have to figure out what your class schedule is going to be. You have to figure out how to best utilize your time. It's completely different than like a traditional high school setting where you might be going from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and you have something scheduled all the way through with, lunch break built in or whatever it might look like. You might have practice, for us, our morning practice ends at 8 a.m. You might not have a class until 10:30. So you got to figure out, what am I doing in that 2.5 hours? I got to eat breakfast. Am I going to take a little nap? What am I going to do before I have to go to class? And then how am I preparing for the next, maybe my next class is until, 12:45. And then I have practice that starts at 2. So what do I need to do from the time one class ends to make sure I have lunch, to make sure that I'm prepared and ready for my next practice, which is only going to be, maybe half an hour after my last class. So, then sometimes the athletes have night classes. So you might have practice that ends and then you have an hour and a half to get dinner and get yourself ready for an evening class. So then some have online classes. There's all sorts of different times of the day when people are taking doing schoolwork. So it's a lot of time management, helping them as best we can, but also, helping them kind of realize how to best utilize their time, because everybody's a little bit different. Some realize, hey, I need to hit my classes right after morning practice because that's when I'm going to be the most productive and I'm ready to go. Some need a little bit of time before they get to class. Some need to plan the night before. Sometimes you might have practice, and then you might have those 2 classes right in a row. So how am I planning? How am I preparing my meals? What am I doing to help get myself through those classes before my next opportunity to relax? So everyone's day can look a little different, but it's definitely very different than what most people have been doing leading up to their time when they come into college.
Yeah. And how much do you stay aware of their grades and kind of just oversee what's happening academically? Are you made aware by the academic staff?
Yep, every week. I get an update every single week on everybody's grades. I get a complete grade report every single week. Highlighted are the classes that are below a standard that we want the students to maintain, and then our academic coordinator, she has notes as to why they are where they are. So maybe it was Susan, she has a low grade in this class. She struggled on the first exam, but she's been going to tutoring, these 3 days, and she's met with the professor, and then, they're doing X, Y, and Z to help, continue to improve. If we see something like that continue for multiple weeks in a row, usually not too many before we get to a point of no return, but usually if we kind of see a trend, then I set them aside and be like, hey, what am I missing? What are you missing? What can we do to help make sure that you're successful? I see that you're doing really well in, these 4 classes. Is it just this one class that you're truly struggling in, that are we not comprehending the material? What is it that's going on? Are we in a position where maybe we can drop this class now, we're still taking enough credits to be eligible and do everything that we need to do. And then let's try and pick it up. Maybe we can try it again in the spring, or maybe it's something we can do over the summer to kind of help get you rolling. So I'm made aware every week. I get an update. I get to see what's going on, and they do. We have developed a culture within our team where they're very communicative with their needs academically. So, I will usually hear from them before I get the grade report, as to, maybe something doesn't look like the way that we want it to.
Okay. And so back to the athletic side, like what are your goals for this season? And within that, do you have any specific goals for individuals, or is it a collective team goal?
I think the collective team goal for us is to, at the bare minimum, be better than we were a year ago. And I think as long as we're improving and being better than we were in previous years, we're going to continue to move in a really good direction. I think with the new changes that are coming, those goals are going to be changing a little bit in future years. So even starting next year, I think that goal will become a little bit different. Not that we don't want to continue to improve, but I think setting a little more concrete, hard set. This is what we are accomplishing. How are we going to work our way to do that? And how are these individuals, and how are you helping us accomplish that? So we do have kind of goals that we set out for the team. We have academic based goals. We do have performance based goals. We do have community service type goals as well. But we've kind of operated under the we're working on being better than we were the year before, and if we can do that, then we're going to keep moving in a really good direction. Individually, we have athletes that can compete on the national level, and how can we help them continue to improve, and how can we help support them to continue to compete at such a high level? So we have goals of athletes winning conference championships, swimming at NCAAs, swimming on the national stage, and so how can we continue to support them and help them?
Okay, and final question from me, and then we'll take some questions from those that are listening. But we're going to have some 15, 16-year-olds listening tonight, maybe their parents, and just what advice would you give to them as they just try to improve themselves, ready to be recruited, hopefully in the next year or two? I
was a 15 and 16-year-old once, and I was not very smart. So I would listen to your coaches the best you can, and have open conversations with your coaches about the things that you feel like you are capable of accomplishing, and see how your coach can help you accomplish those things. I was very fortunate when I was younger. I had a coach who I sat down and I said, all right, I saw a guy, he set a national high school record, and I was like, I can do that. I can swim that fast. Like, I know I'm capable. I could do something like that. And he said to me straightforward, he said, yeah, but you're not willing to work hard enough to get it done. And I was like, oh, no, what do you mean? He's like, you need to do this, and this in order to accomplish something like that. And I don't think I wasn't mature enough at the time to truly understand what he was trying to help me understand. But I think having those open conversations with people and truly understanding, like, all right, well, I see myself as this, but my coach tells me I need to do all of this in order to get there. Is that something I'm truly want to work to accomplish? Some people, their goal is to swim well enough to get to college and swim in college. Some want to continue to improve. Everyone's got different goals as they go through. But I think being on the same page and having a group around you, a support system around you to help you accomplish those things is truly important. And if coming to the U.S. is an end goal, I think having the people to help you, the people in your corner to help you accomplish that is. Not everybody in the U.S. has the ability to see the world. We need help. Times are times, but they only tell a certain part of the story. Susan was a 25, 55 long course 50-meter freestyler, but she did that 4 years ago, and ever since then she's been 27.2. So. What Susan am I getting? Am I getting the 25.5? Probably not. I'm probably going to get the 27.2 Susan. But what can we do to help her continue to move forward? And what is it that she's been working on? And how can we ultimately decide to work together. So yeah, having those open conversations with the people around you to figure out where you truly want to go and how to make it happen, I think is probably a good place to start.
Awesome. Just going to invite people at this point, if they want to write in any questions, I'll just read those out. Someone's actually already WhatsApped me one, which is great. We can do it like that as well. One question was just about internationals. Like, do you have a cap on the number of internationals you like to have in the team, or is it just purely based on, their standards athletically? And what's the blend of your team this year?
Yeah, we have quite a few internationals. We've always had quite a few internationals over the years. I don't have a limit on how many we can have. My job is to put the best team together that I possibly can. If that's 15 girls from London and 3 girls from Guadalajara, then that's what our team's going to look like. We love having international student athletes. I think it's an incredible experience for our domestic kids. I always had international athletes to train with when I was in university as well, and there's just such a difference in your backgrounds, right? Like learning from one another and getting to have your eyes opened a little bit to how other people live and where they come from. I think is a fantastic growing, maturing opportunity when you go into college. And not everybody has that. I don't think you're not forced in class to talk to the kid who might be from Belarus or wherever it might be from. But when you're sharing a lane with somebody who's from the United Kingdom or Germany or Hungary or whatever, you're going to talk to them, you're going to get to know them, and you're going to be teammates and friends with them.
Okay, and one more question, a little bit of a different one, but just what's your policy at your school on the SAT?
So we still require it for our university and for all state schools in Florida for right now. We don't know if that's going to change down the road, but any state school that receives funding from the state of Florida still requires the SAT. Okay, so we're just going to give it a few minutes and just see if there are any other kind of questions come in to me. We'll just stay on and we'll stay available for people. And otherwise, we're going to look to wrap it up. Obviously, we'll send out people a few resources as well, just about collegiate swimming a little bit more generally. Sure.
Just give it a couple of minutes. Thank you very much for your time.
Yes, of course.
Appreciate it.
And I do live in Florida, but I'm wearing a sweatshirt because I'm in an air-conditioned building. But it is a beautiful 80-degree day here in Florida.
I heard, and this may be a myth, I heard that you can see the ocean and the beach from the dorms there. Is that
so? We have on our campus, we have a beach in front of the dorms. It's not the ocean. We have a lake on campus, so we have beachfront property with a lake on campus. So, the main beach is about a 20 to 30 minute drive towards the coast. So we're a little bit further inland, but yeah, we have our own beach water from beautiful white sand beaches right outside the dorms. It's a really rough setup.
There's going to be a lot of jealous people in the UK just as everything's frozen tonight. So, okay, it doesn't look like we have any more questions kind of coming in. But I'm sure if people have something really specific, I'm sure I could send it to you afterwards. But thank you very much for your time tonight, Dave. All the best for your program kind of going forward, and all the best with one of our UK recruits who will be joining you in 2025 as well.
Yes, we're very excited. We're looking forward to it.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.